Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm just a very intimate homie.
And this week, we cap our SS Rajamouli trilogy with the 2022 historical action epic, RRR. Before we tell you the exact value of a bullet, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron?
How you feel about the British Empire?
Oh, famously pro.
Yeah, it was a weird day on Mortified when I was like, yeah, and I just, colonialism's bad, and then you were like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, famously, my long-held opinion is that people who fight wars for spices and then don't use them are the best arbiters of world affairs.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand that opinion.
Thank you.
However, SS Rajamouli's latest action blockbuster has an alternative take that I think, maybe our listeners should be exposed to. Yeah, I mean,
they did say that they did say all those scenarios were fictional, so I don't know. Debate me.
Ostensibly, this is based off of a real, two real revolutionaries. I would be surprised if even a single scene in this movie was based in reality. But that's okay, because it was fun.
It was so much fun.
So yeah, we did our Bahubali parts 1 and 2 over the last couple of months, and this is kind of our finish for, at least for now, of SS Rajamouli's work. And yeah, I mean, I think watching the first two Bahubalis really did give me a better appreciation for this movie, I think, because it wasn't, it grounded the action and the storytelling style in context. I was like, okay, yeah, he's doing, a very similar style of action epic that in RRR as he did with the other two, but this is in a more, relatively, contemporary context, and I liked it a lot. It was fun.
I had a capital B blast, and it was just as, I mean, man, I don't know who his director of photography is, because I regrettably didn't pay attention to the credits, but whoever it is, they're not afraid of a beautiful, obvious framing. There's one shot where one of the characters, Rama, is framed because he's having a conflict where he is part of the occupying army. Basically, he's Indian, but he has joined the occupying army, and he's having an internal conflict about the fact that he joined because he is trying to get weapons for his village that got destroyed by the army, but he, in order to do that, has to perpetuate violence against his people. And the way that they frame the shot is he's sitting all solemn in a tank top on the side of a street after he beat the shit out of his best friend in a public flogging, and he is framed in a circle of barbed wire because the prison is inside his head, Aaron. And that is the kind of unsubtle bullshit I love. It is so fun, and there's the theming of the fire and the water. It's just delicious, and I think we should learn from it in the West as filmmakers and as storytellers, because holy shit, I want to see this on the big screen so bad.
Yeah, I'm sure this was an incredible film to see in an IMAX situation. Yeah, I mean, I know I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards line is overused at this point, but I mean, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for just being hey, here's the themes and ideas and main characters of this movie, and I'm going to reinforce that with the chorus in the background. And, occasionally I'll rant about how young people don't know how to read and they don't understand how to interpret media, and ChatGPT is ruining our literacy. Maybe this is the first foundational building block into getting that back, which is to just beat you over the head with these themes like the British beat brown people to save bullets in this film.
Yeah. Well, again, it all comes down to, like, does it serve the work? And if this was, like, a self-serious... When we watched that one movie, forgive me for not remembering the title, where they did go to Amritsar as a romantic beat. That was crazy.
Yeah.
And unsubtle and weird when it's like part of your ghost romance. But this movie knows exactly what the fuck it is, and it locks in and it delivers. So I think it works. I love it. I would watch it again. I would love for my brother to watch it. I think I'm gonna try and get him to sit down for 3 hours.
Listen, it's a long fucking movie. Again, Mr. Rajamouli has no desire to cut out any possible part of his film. But you kind of have to give it up for the maximalism, so shout outs. Do you feel up to doing the plot? Listeners, my co-host is running on 3 hours of sleep, as I've recently learned, and they're being very brave about it.
Yeah, why the fuck not? I got it. Is it? Yeah. All right, let's roll. So, movie starts. Thank you so much for putting these into digestible plot beats. Because holy shit, there's a lot that happens in this movie. We start in the year 1920. The film opens with a little Indian girl, Molly, doing henna for a British woman while singing a song about how much she loves her mom. And as you noted in your notes, not at all foreshadowing, not at all ominous. The white lady, who is the wife of the governor, says to her husband, I believe, I would like this little package on our mantelpiece.
Yeah.
And throws 2 coins to the mother, who thinks it's like a thank you for the song and the henna. No, she bought your daughter just now. And then she takes little Molly and puts her in her car and rolls off. When the people of the village try to get the child back, the governor admonishes one of his staff for pointing his gun at Molly's mom. He gives him this speech that comes back a couple of times, which is like, hey, do you know what the price of the bullet in your gun is? Because it was made with English steel, with full wage labor, brought here on an English ship. And I think the first time it's 6 shillings, but then it inflates to a full pence or a full pound.
Or a pound, yeah.
Pound sterling. Which, thank you, SS Rajamouli, for acknowledging inflation, even in the 20s. And he instead says, find another way. And this is where we see the first of the British Army using blunt force trauma to dispose of a native. And he picks up a giant stick and smashes her over the head. Aaron, what an opening.
Yeah, I mean, listen, is this an accurate depiction of the racism of the British Empire, in the Raj? Like, I mean, listen, it's a little played up for, the drama, but I mean, it's not that far off. It was a bad administration. They were bad people. And it's, it's interesting to see this in like a modern film, like there's plenty of movies about the British Raj that you can go out and watch, but like the ones that I've seen are from like the 30s or the 60s, where the British are ostensibly the good guys and they, they're like adventure romps. And it's very fun to be like, no, this is what they were actually like. It was mostly being really mad about spending money and just flogging people. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, we talked about bluntness just now. This movie hits you and Molly's mom over the head with the themes of it, which is like, these are the bad guys. They're bad people. They are arbitrarily cruel, and they do not value the lives of the people of India. They're openly racist, and it's gonna feel so good when they get the shit beat out of them here in a couple hours.
The term brown bugger, you gotta do it in the, we don't use bugger here in the US of A. The brown bugger.
Right.
in the British, that was used multiple times, which was crazy.
I don't know if somebody called me a brown bugger. I don't know that I would be insulted as much. Like, obviously it's a slur, but I would be like a little bit embarrassed for you.
A little embarrassed, or I could I think depending on who said it, it borders on affectionate.
Right.
So it is the Brits, the famously restrained.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have one of the main characters, one of the, again, Aaron mentioned, one of the two revolutionary archetypes that we have. This is Ramaraju. We cut directly to a protest outside a British police station where a revolutionary leader has been arrested. There's just SS Rajamouli just loves a sea of extras. There's just a giant mob outside and people are chanting, they're throwing things, they're rocking the fence. Someone throws a rock at a picture of, you want to say it's Lord Kitchener? I thought it was the governor.
That would make more sense. I just thought it'd be very funny for them to be like, and here is our Lord Kitchener watching over us. But you're probably right. It probably was a picture of the governor.
I think it was, but I don't know. I'm not as good at faces.
Listen,
but anyway, they
British
knock it
dudes
over.
with mustaches all kind of look the same to me from this era.
Yeah, if you're a British dude with a mustache and an epaulette, you might as well be Kitchener. So the garrison commander orders the rock thrower to be arrested, but no police officer moves until we get to Officer A. Ramaraju, who single-handedly drags the offender back through the crowd in, you write, inarguably the movie's best fight sequence. I think it's the second best fight sequence in the movie.
Okay.
But it does fuck because this uniformed man, this uniformed mustachioed man, who by some quality really reminds me of my dad. I don't know
really?
what it is. I think it's the mustache, just the shape of the mustache. Because in my listeners, me and my father have been estranged for 20 years. In my mind, my dad is a floating mustache above a blue and gray bathrobe. So who's to say? But anyway, there's no as we know it from Chicken Run, you need thrust to fly. There's no thrust. He just springs over this fence and lands in the crowd and begins single-handedly making his way towards the guy in the red turban who needs to get arrested and dragging his ass back. And it is brutal.
Yeah, I'll talk about why I think this is the best fight scene in this movie, because and as we saw in Bahubali, when our protagonists are superhuman, right? Like they are like, I compared, I think it was Vishnu or Rama. I don't know who the protagonist of Bahubali 1 is, but like I could liken him to Goku because he's just like so like overpowered and doing like flips and shit. And I think that is the same here, especially after this fight scene. We get Ramaraju and Beam later who are just like completely like, tearing, up like iron grates and throwing motorcycles under their own strength. Like, they're supermen. But here we get, Ramaraju, we get that superhuman strength. He like charges out into this crowd with nothing but like a fairly long nightstick and starts beating the shit out of the crowd, which like, listen, fuck the police. But it is very impressive to see him like, people, there is such a kinetic energy to the way that the crowd surges on him. And like, there's a shot where they just like crowd over him and you get the shot from underneath him as he's being like suffocated by the weight of these people. And I think that's such a great, shot to see. And then we just see him like slowly, it's not all, big explosions of people getting sent everywhere. Like he has to fight. He has to like, thrust his way through. People punch him. Somebody hits him over the head with a rock at one point. I just love seeing how like hard fought this victory is, and then that comes up because here in a second he's going to be he's going to lose a promotion despite this like incredible arrest he makes. But I just think it is such a change from because this is the first real fight scene in this movie, and I think it's such a change from the two Bahubalis in that we are seeing one of the film's protagonists actually have a genuine struggle, and I just really liked watching how much Raju like cut through the crowd, but also how the crowd pushed back against him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's fucking great, and I think Ramaraju. Nope, that's the character. SS Rajamouli does a great job building tension in these fight scenes, because like again in Bahubali, like it's just kind of a lot of action all at once, but like there were moments where he's like hanging off of a watchtower or something, or he's like pressed under the crowd or whatever. It's great, and the fight choreography in this movie is amazing. But yeah, he is denied the promotion, and this is when we're like, ooh, what's up with him? Why does he want it so bad? And then we go to Beam. We get a shot of the interior of Governor Buxton's manor, where one of his advisors is telling him that the Gond people. This is Sir Edward. I remember this scene.
Well, there's two. There's Sir Edward, who is the white guy, and then there's this other guy who I have his name in my notes.
He's like the advisor.
It's Venka Adavani, who is the special advisor.
Yeah. And so Adavani comes.
He doesn't really matter. He shows up in it occasionally, but like he's just kind of there to be like, I'm the Indian guy who works for the government, but like in an administrative sense. Yeah,
and you can always tell which Indian people work for the government because they adopt English clothing. So this guy does it. Ramaraju does it. Ramaraju, if I may objectify him for just a moment, looks fine as hell, by the way. Great. Whoever costumed these people, holy dicks, man. That's some tailoring. That's some good stuff. But anyway, he's here to see Sir Edward. Sir Edward's a very smarmy kind of advisor type, and he's always wearing, a white collar black suit. He's being advised that they have, quote unquote, a shepherd who will not rest until he pries their missing lamb, Molly, from the jaws of the lion, Governor Buxton. We then meet Beam, who is going under the name Akhtar and posing as a Muslim. He is out capturing various predators with his friends for an unknown reason and single-handedly subdues a tiger after a very cool chase scene where he is sprinting. The cardio on these men in this movie is fucking wild.
One thing I want to say about the sequence is that they open with, Beam like pouring blood down himself to like, make himself the prey for these predators. And there's a bit where like both you and I have different shots of this where he is like standing in basically his underwear doing like weightlifter poses basically. And it makes me wonder why, exactly like that. Leyla is, turning and flexing their traps at the camera. It makes me wonder why there's not a rabid fan base for things like this in frankly, more Western circles. Listen, I know why, but I'm just thinking about like I'm comparing this to K-pop, right? Where people go insane for, young, thin, Korean men. Like this is much more objectively, objectifying. You see, these men are very, one, you see their muscles, you see how objectified they are. They are pouring various fluids and liquids all over their body and getting oiled up and sweaty. There's incredible yaoi potential going on between Beam and Ramaraju that I don't understand why young women haven't caught on to this in a major way. And I mean, Leyla keeps looking at the camera and, okay, it's racism. We all know it's racism.
I keep giving Aaron the racism eyes.
The racism eyes. Not something that you want to have given to you, but unfortunately, we all understand. I know that's why, because the world sucks, but like I do think that there is like an untapped market of thirsty preteens who would go insane for this if they just tried it.
Girlies, if you're into like, I listen, I know some rabid fans. You're into Akatar, you're into, actually, you know who we could seamlessly translate to this? I think this movie specifically could be a great onboarding point for the queer Fast and Furious fandom. Queers who are into Fast and Furious, get into RRR. Get into SS Rajamouli's filmography. I had as much, if not more fun than I did when I watched Fast X.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was fun to see all of them, but, like, it is exactly the same energy of, like, big and stupid and fun. So, like, yeah, I agree. Michelangelo, if you want to check this out, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. So Beam goes back to his job where he is, again, posing as a Muslim in Delhi in order to find Molly. He is beaten by a British officer, I think Russell, after fixing his motorcycle because he does his job. And then Russell's like, you're upcharging me because you removed something and then you put it back. And then he beats the shit out of him. So this is beating number 2.
Is his name, but yeah.
Robert. Well, I don't respect him enough to care. Starts with an R. It was close enough. The actor did a great job. The character, despicable.
Yes, he was very hateable. Very, very well done.
Absolutely. Here on Mortified, the Friendship Quest, we recognize Kraft. So Beam vows not to fight back in order to conceal his identity and protect the family that kind of is giving him cover. And so now it's time for the boys to meet. After hearing about his hunter, the governor orders that he be captured and arrested. However, no one knows how to find him. When the governor's wife, who, speaking of great performances of despicable characters, this white woman is serving cunt while being a cunt. It is so good. She's so juicy. I need to look up who she is and what she's been in because she looked familiar. But this is like the most Real Housewives of Delhi. Just like, I loved her performance. And we'll get to a part you and I both noticed later on in the film where she just really shines. But anyway,
the actress's name is Alison Doody, Doody. She has been in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Is
love
probably
that for her.
The biggest film that our audience would know besides this one. Which is crazy. Shout outs.
Yeah, good for her. She rules. Her character sucks. She rules. Yeah, so the governor's wife is like, whoever captures this hunter will receive a promotion to special officer. Raju lights up at the opportunity, volunteers, asks, hey, dead or alive? She says, well, if you bring him dead, you'll get a bounty. If you bring him alive, you'll get your promotion. So naturally, Raju starts like hornily shaking because he's like, I must have this promotion. So he goes out to Delhi to search for this. I've pronounced it 3 different ways. Is there an agreement on how we pronounce Delhi?
I would call it Delhi.
Delhi.
But
I'm thinking of Canadian. I'm thinking of Southern Ontario. Delhi is what's going on. But you would also finish your thought?
No, you're good.
So at first he, quote unquote, infiltrates a revolutionary group.
Okay, I put that in quotes because we both took the same note, which is like, he goes up to the revolutionary group meeting. Well, it's not even a revolutionary group meeting. It's like,
it's like a town hall.
Right, yeah. And there's people like, the British are persecuting us. We should do something about it. And then he's like, we should kill the governor. And everybody looks at him and they're like, shut the fuck up, idiot. Get out of here.
It was really
if
good.
somebody listen, our audience, I'm assuming, is pretty left-leaning. If somebody shows up to your local, organizing event and says, we should do a crime, and you've never met them before, they are a cop. Just like Ramaraju. So he nearly captures one of Beam's fellows, who's like walks up to him and is like, "Hey, did you mean what you just said? We've been looking for help." And they basically encounter like a blockade of other cops, and Ramaraju very quietly slips him his ID and is like, "Hey, just do like a cursory check. I'm an officer on duty. Like, let us through." And the guy salutes him and blows his cover. Very funny. So, in the meantime, Raju witnesses this sequence also fucks. While searching for one of Beam's accomplices, he is on top of a bridge. Beam is at the bottom of a bridge. Raju witnesses a child get trapped on a flaming river when a train derails and crashes into the water. And that's what happens. I forgot.
He sends hand signals down to Beam, and the two rescue the child in a stunt-filled diving sequence where they board a horse and a motorcycle and then counterweight each other as they fly off the side of a bridge and yeet the kid to shore.
Yeah, it's this movie, I think, has been criticized by some more left-leaning Indian and Sri Lankan writers for being, pretty openly nationalist and valid. I certainly do not know enough about the politics of India besides that we don't like Narendra Modi. But I'm not going to, take away from any of those criticisms. I do think it is kind of fun to have the two men, because what happens is when they're doing the counterweight, they both dive off of opposite ends of the bridge, and one of them swings forward to catch the boy and then throws him back to the other man as the other man is, catches the boy and uses the counterweight to swing back up and toss the boy to safety. But in the meantime, when he's throwing the boy to, I want to say Ramaraju throws the flag of India, essentially the nationalist flag, to Beam, who uses it to shield himself from the fire. And it's like, okay, again, not a subtle film, but a fun one.
Absolutely. And then Beam emerging from the flames in a flag cocoon. Very good imagery. Very fun. So I already scrolled. So then we get a friendship montage. And it is a hoot. These boys are hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, this was literally the first time they met as this weird rescue, and then they spend the next 7 minutes conservatively just showing them having a good time together, and I think that it does a little bit make their relationship shallow, and that we never really seen them have a conversation. But also this montage does a lot of work to be they're carrying each other, they are singing, and they are riding horses and motorcycles together, and it is the most here's a montage to convey a relationship happening thing that I've ever seen. It is not subtle, but I do think it is really fun. And I'm trying to think of okay, there's especially there, we both took screenshots of this too, because the film has them riding through the streets of Delhi on their motorcycle, and they are running and skipping through fields of wheat, and then there's a shot of them walking through this barricade, this a barbed wire barricade, and the screenshot I have says, won't this friendship break one day in the form of betrayal, as they are walking on opposite sides of the barbed wire? And I wrote, oh no, I don't think that could happen. And then you similarly took a screenshot of Beam carrying Raju on his shoulders. They're both smiling and laughing. And the caption says, "It's yet to be seen if this will end in bloodshed." And you wrote, no comment. Yeah, this is... I don't know. I would criticize this in probably any... I don't know if I would say any, right? But I would say that in a film that like I said, like you said before, was trying to be more nuanced and subtle in a deep character study, yeah, this would be unacceptable. But for what this film is doing, it's just an extremely good time.
Yeah, it's such a good screenshot. They're so joyous.
Yeah. I did note that we need Mortified fan art of you powerlifting me like this, and both of us smiling.
Oh yeah. Listen, audience, if anybody wants to draw that, I will send you this screenshot. If not, I'll fucking roll my sleeves and do it myself when I'm not running on 3 hours of sleep. So Beam has been crushing on this English white lady named Jenny. Jenny's just really pretty and really nice. That's kind of her whole thing. Jenny is the plausible deniability of this film, because without her, these two men would be coming off exquisitely homosexual, which they already do, but there's a woman there, so you could maybe say that they're just buddies. So Beam doesn't speak a lick of English, but he wants to befriend her both because she's pretty, but also because she works in the governor's mansion, where he knows Molly is. And so Raju decides to wingman him. With his help, by help I mean he puts a bunch of nails down in front of Jenny's car and flattens her tires. Fellas,
this is becoming a theme in S.S. Rajamouli movies, which is two bros pull a scam on a woman to help one of them get laid. Which I don't men, the very few men who listen to this podcast, you shouldn't do this. Don't do this to women, please. It's good in movies, but it's not good in real life. Don't do this. It's fun to have your old uncle pretend that you are just a simple country bumpkin, so you can help your potential love interest's fiance look really cool. It's cool to flatten your love interest's tires with shrapnel you picked up on the side of the road. But only in stories. It doesn't work so good in real life. In real life, that's a restraining order. Don't do this.
Yeah. But, it happens. And so Beam and Jenny go to this market. He helps her buy an outfit for Molly and makes on the spot a bangle for her.
Fucking crazy. Sure.
And he does this, by the way, in the 15 seconds it takes Jenny to buy the dress she's buying. So he gets her the bangle. Jenny invites Beam to a party. Again, Beam does not speak English, so how this happens, I don't know. Raju wingmans for him at the party. My favorite part of this sequence is the kind of like, Beam does not wear English clothes, because again, he's not like part of the English bureaucratic infrastructure, but Ramaraju lends him a suit. These two men are not the same size, but it's impeccably tailored on both of them, and the only thing I could think of the entire time was the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, where I'm like, oh yes, the Brotherhood of the Traveling Suit just magically fits them both.
Incredible.
They both look great though at this party.
Yeah. It's a really good sequence. I do want to say before we get into the part, Jenny doesn't get a whole lot to do in this movie. I do feel for Beam this entire time. Every time he's like looking up at Jenny, who is like laughing with her English friends, I'm just like, that was me, almost 2 decades ago, looking up at my, who would be my wife. Just a young Indian man trying to court a white woman.
And did you put nails down in front of her car? Is that how you got her?
No, I did not. In fact, sabotage her vehicle. I just sent her Facebook messages.
Facebook? Is that... Oh, all right.
Listen,
what a sign of the times.
It was 2011. It was a different time. I've recently deactivated my Facebook.
Different era.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
You might as well just tell me you courted her on like clay tap.
Fuck off.
Hey, you're not the one who got told that you look good for your age for the first time.
Who said that to you?
A beloved coworker of mine who is only 5 years younger than us.
20-somethings are getting real uppity these days.
I love her. She's the best. Anyway, whatever. They go to this party. There's a white guy named Jake there. Jake is racist, obviously, because there has to be a racist white guy in every scene. This is the famous dance-off sequence that got really famous from this movie. I mean...
Deservedly so. It's a great dance sequence.
So fucking good. They just go ham on these white boys. And then they got the white women joining in. And then the white boys joining in.
Whenever, because this is like, a 10-15 minute dance sequence with, Ramaraju and Beam just like going hard and doing like the craziest footwork you've ever seen. But in the background, there's like all these English pairs, and all of the, the English men are kind of scowling and like, got their arms back and like mean mugging the boys. And all the women are like fanning themselves and like kind of tapping their feet and bopping off. And it's just like, that's really funny. This is what Rudyard Kipling feared would happen. This is the brown man's burden, is to teach you all rhythm.
It really is. And it's really good. And then the white men join in and it becomes a dance off. And obviously Jake loses. Fuck Jake. This is the only scene he's really in, but fuck Jake. And then, Ramaraju is a homeboy and fakes a cramp so that Beam will win the dance off and look good in front of Jenny. This is when he also, when they are leaving this party, once again, Ramaraju's carrying Beam on his back. These boys love to carry each other.
Yeah, it's just what dudes do, platonically carry your bro.
Yeah. As you do. But then Jenny rides by and she's like, hey, can I offer Beam a ride back? And Ramaraju's like, yes, obviously. And she invites Beam over for coffee. Now, Beam at this point has heard that Molly is at the governor's mansion, so he's like, yes. Mind you, at the market, he was like, can I come to your house? Even though she does not speak his language and he doesn't speak hers. He's just out there. He is on a mission, this man, to get that little girl back. So they go to her house for coffee, and Beam finds Molly. Poor girl. There's like a heartbreaking scene where she like tries to hug him through the bars of her room. Obviously she can't. And he sings her the same song she was singing to tell her to close her eyes and kind of like picture home, and he'll be with her soon.
The actress's name is Twinkle Sharma, and she does an incredible job for, basically a girl who just has to be sad the entire time. She can't be older than like 12, but she's just doing an incredible performance the whole time.
Yeah, really, really great child actor. So then we cut back to, we have to get reminded that Raju is a cop. So he is now interrogating Lachu, which is one of Beam's kind of friends from the village. Lachu, in a very fun sequence, taps the ground until a very poisonous snake comes to him, catches it blind behind his back, and then throws like a pocket snake at Raju. It is like, you got an hour to live, bro. It's really good. And then Raju unties him after torturing him and is like, man, go live your life. I got an hour, so, whatever. And, of course, Beam finds him on the street and tenderly nurses him back to health. This is when Beam also admits that he is not who he said he is. He was going under a fake name. He was like, I'm not a Muslim. I'm here to rescue Molly. I'm going to go storm the governor's mansion. So, Beam and Co. bust through the governor's mansion while they're having a party because the governor is now back from being knighted back in the homeland. It's very Bridgerton. Very cool party. Trimmed hedges, fireworks, a lot of resplendent dresses, having a good time. If you host these kinds of parties, I would like to go to one, not in a racist context, just in a fireworks context. Please invite me. But Beam and Co. Bust through, and me and you again took the same screenshot here because they bust through in a truck, and the truck is full of those predators they captured at the beginning of the film, and they just let the fuckers loose. And these tigers are mauling.
It's not just predators, as you take in your notes. There's various deer, horned deer. At one point, somebody gets an antler through their arm. It's fucking crazy.
Robert does.
It's Robert, yeah, you're right.
Start wrestling, and Beam throws Robert towards the ground, but the deer is running past at that moment, and the antler goes through his forearm. It is fucking crazy. But yeah, it's just this very cool sequence of Beam trying to get to Molly while all around him there's just indiscriminate violence. And it's not like a magical fairy thing where the tigers don't hurt the good guys. No, the tigers are coming for you too.
It's a bad strategy. I think it's a terrible tactic, but it does rule cinematically. Yeah, it's not great. But Ramaraju pursues Beam because, again, remember, he needs to capture Beam to get his promotion. And they have their big first epic standoff. And, as the song foreshadowed, does it end in betrayal and violence? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. Except we're only an hour and 20 into a 3-hour movie. So who's to say what happens next? And Beam does lose because the governor basically threatens to shoot Molly if he continues to struggle. And now we get one of SS Rajamouli's specialties, long-ass flashback. Yeah, I made my note about this at the beginning of this sequence, which was this probably could have just been a throwaway line of dialogue because it kind of sets up the motivation for why Raju is so diehard for the British, which is to say, as we said in the beginning, he is trying to do this so he can get access to a weapons cache so he can provide weapons for his village who has been training forever to basically be an insurrectionary guerrilla force. But as the sequence goes on and we kind of get the whole motivation, we get more about his dad and the insane way that he dies. I do think it kind of does. I still think it should have been way shorter, but I do think that this sequence works better if you see it on camera as a flashback and not just as dialogue. I don't know if you have thoughts on this, but I do think it was a little bit it kind of got to me by the end, 20 minutes in.
I mean, I think it could have been shorter, but I do really like the idea of seeing the family and then seeing how the British come and attack this village and how baby Ramaraju has to crawl to where his father is getting shot at, take the gun from his father whose finger has been shot off at the age of, 12, kill a bunch of Englishmen, and then shoot a bomb on his father's back and explode him to break the line.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of make sense why Ramaraju is so hardcore now. It's oh, you've been through some shit.
Can you imagine that being delivered in dialogue? That would be fucking crazy.
It would be hard to do without, seeing it actually does have so much more impact. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a good sequence. I just kind of love the like idea. It's just like, like you said, Rajamouli loves to have tons of extras, so it is just like 50, 100 extras in British Army khakis, kind of coming up on this like village, and slowly, piece by piece, Ramaraju and Ramaraju Senior are like mowing them down with like a bolt action rifle. It's just like a really cool sequence from a fight standpoint, right? It's not like a lot of explosions, but it is just like them kind of reacting as one dude is just like fucking them up. I just thought it was cool.
I agree. No, I quite like it. And this is where we get the repeat of the whole "what is a bullet worth" monologue, and Ramaraju Senior makes Ramaraju Junior promise that he will put a weapon in the hand of every willing person. And this is where I started to reflect on the Second Amendment a little bit, because I was like, I think this is what the 2A freaks think they're doing when they buy a gun.
Interesting.
Much to think about. Anyway, things keep happening when on recording weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's June 9th, 2025. For historical records, historians. Just so you know.
Can you imagine if the one thing of humanity that aliens can find is this podcast? They can get a pretty good idea.
Humanity was a species that was ultimately pretty chill. They appeared to worship two boys called Naruto and Sasuke, and perhaps their overall religion, Kingdom Hearts, can tell us much about the human spirit and culture. I hope that it's not our podcast that is the only surviving record. That would be bad.
No, I hope it is. I think that would be great. I think the aliens would think we were very cool. So Beam, because Beam rebelled against the British government, there's an order to publicly flog him until he kneels and repents. Raju does the flogging. This is the scene. This is the scene where the governor's wife really does it for me, where she just goes, she's sitting there and she goes, I thought there would be a pool of blood at his... And before she could say his feet, she notices that the beaten Beam is not kneeling. He is hovering he's like grabbing onto his chains and his knees are not hitting the ground. And she yells at Ramaraju to work harder. And then she goes, try this instead, and throws him her own pocket whip that has barbs on it.
Custom made. She had that thing on her.
You just have that? Love her.
She sucks. I love it.
They beat the shit out of Beam. It was hard to watch. I don't like flesh ripping.
They do a thing from... I mean, I don't know if Rajamouli is borrowing explicitly from the Passion of the Christ here, but they do the thing where they like show how the whip, will tear chunks out of your flesh first, and then they beat the shit out of you with it. There is like blood spraying into the crowd. It's wild. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. This is the part where after Beam gets beaten, Ramaraju has the scene where he is framed in barbed wire himself and reconsiders his whole plight. Beam also sings a song to get the people to #resist, #rise up. That was fun. I like that there was an orchestra there and it wasn't just a cappella. We got to cement the vibe. So Raju decides he's going to help Beam. He convinces the governor to execute him in front of Molly in a remote location on a river to prevent him from becoming a martyr. However, Raju sets up an ambush to free Beam. It sort of works because the governor kind of catches on. He's up to some shit. in a fun action sequence, Ramaraju makes sure that Beam can escape with Molly, and he himself takes down all of the kind of accompanying soldiers, which gets him put in solitary confinement. But as Sir Edward from the beginning is guiding the governor to go check on Ramaraju in solitary confinement, this is solitary confinement parentheses lesser. He gets more solitarily confined. He's like, yeah, we're only feeding him once a week. He's starving. He's going to be dead soon. And as they round the corner, he's like gripping his chains and doing fucking pull-ups.
It's so fucking funny. It's hysterical. They're like, this man is working out. He hasn't eaten in a week and he's working out. What the fuck are we doing here?
You know, he's been in there for months at that point, only being fed once a week.
Yeah, it's
It's so extreme. It's so funny. But yeah, at this point, Beam and Co. are on the run. They find Ramaraju's fiance, who, another character that is just plausible deniability here, because unfortunately her entire life is about Ramaraju. She does not really have motivations really of her own or a character of her own other than she's a very sweet lady. And she tells Beam and Co. the story of her boyfriend, Ramaraju, and how he is so sad and joined the army to get guns for everybody. This makes Beam emotional. It makes him forgive his bro, and he vouches to go rescue him. So he goes, and he finds... So now Ramaraju has been moved into solitary confinement, parentheses, bigger. And by bigger, I mean smaller. It is a hole in the ground with a cage over it. And he's still in there with his knees pressed to his chest, doing his fucking pull-ups, committed to his cause. But Beam finds him in the ground at night. Which, by the way, this is the last shot Jenny's in before the epilogue. Jenny gives him the layout of the barracks. Thanks, Queen. And he finds Ramaraju by knocking the rhythm of the song they dance to on the ground.
It's really good. That's like genuinely like, I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I've been thinking about, storytelling modes and like what we, as people have been conditioned to believe is a satisfying story for a video essay that I will hopefully have out, around the time that this episode goes out. But like, it's not to say that, every time you put a gun on the mantelpiece when it is, when that gun is fired, that's good. I think there is something to be said about, breaking from those conventions. But it is really cool when you get to take something that you did earlier and then pay that off and be like, oh, okay, you're bringing that back and incorporating it in a new way. It feels good, and I do love it. It's just such a fun thing to see the Natu show up again here, and then they reunite, and Beam rips the entire prison out of the ground. It's insane.
Yes, he literally just rips that door, which it's really good. This is my favorite fight sequence in the movie, which is, and once again, these men might have to carry each other. Ramaraju's legs are broken, so just like in the pose that, this is another callback, it's the same pose that Aaron wants fan art of with Ramaraju on top of Beam's shoulders. And Beam puts this man on his shoulders, stands up, and at some point in this fight, Ramaraju gets 2 fucking rifles in both of his arms and is just shooting them front, back, side to side, and Beam is reloading for him.
It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
It's so good. And at one point, they climb a tower together, and Ramaraju's like, he's been doing all his pull-ups. He's been keeping up on his arms. With Beam attached to his crotch, he swings them both up in a flip up to the watchtower. Just incredible shit. Then they go in a forest, and Beam has to lay Ramaraju down to like take a nap for a second. And he goes and gets him a bow from like a shrine and has to apologize to the god. And once again, we get into the unsubtle imagery of, right. Ramaraju being a god. Another great screenshot where he just appears,
For context for listeners, Ramaraju is named Ram or Rama after the incarnation of Vishnu in the epic, it's not the Bhagavad Gita, it's the Ramayana, obviously after Ram.
Right.
So when he comes out, he's taking the bow, from basically like an avatar of his god. So when he comes out with the bow and arrow and the long hair and like the sunlight coming from behind him, I was like, okay, yeah, clearly they're doing a thing. And then the Tuglu chorus comes in. They're like, wow, this guy's, taking on the name of his god and he's going to go do some hunting. Isn't that crazy? It's like, thank you, chorus.
And then they shoot him from underneath and they part the clouds to have an image of Ram.
It's like, okay, yes, he's doing a divine, warrior type deal. We get it.
It's really good. Yeah, it's my favorite fight sequence. So then these two fuck up a bunch of shield soldiers, and Buxton sends in the special forces after them. And then, as SS Rajamouli is wont to do, this last 40 minutes is an action set piece where they mow down these soldiers and these special forces and these motorcycles, and they throw the motorcycles and they start a bunch of fires, and then they go fuck up the governor's mansion and they explode everybody. And there's a shot where the governor's wife is dead and she's like wrapped in fucking barbed wire, and her blood is dripping onto the forehead of her husband, and then he gets shot to death with an arrow and then also a gun for good measure.
Right, they do the thing that he's been doing to them with the bullet, and he's like, and they're like, hey, you know the value of this bullet beam. Why don't you return it to the governor, and he can keep it in his heart, which is very fun. And he's like, no, and then he is extremely shot to death. That's a good time. Extremely shot to death.
Yeah, and then there's a wonderful epilogue. Well, first of all, Beam and is like, thank you for returning Molly to me, and Ramaraju is like, thank you for returning my sense of self and stuff to me. What can I do in return for you? And Beam is like, teach me how to read and write. Yay! And then they have another dance sequence, and it's great, and they're just dancing, and there's revolutionaries in the back of the imagery, and then at one point, Jenny's there. I think you wrote "Get It, White Girl."
Yeah, no, the last shot, she's in a sari and she's dancing along with all the other people at the end. I was like, yeah, let's fucking go, girly. Shout outs.
Another event I would love to be invited to, an Indian wedding. Listeners, I will show up if it's in the DMV-ish area. Aaron, I had so much fun with this flick. It's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the issue with talking about movies that we like in general, but also just this like vein of action epic, which is like, it knows what it's trying to do, and it just pulls it off very successfully. So it's like, okay, we're basically just talking about cool things we thought happened. Like, obviously, there's plenty of criticisms we could talk about, the treatment of women, the nationalist undertones. But on the whole, this movie nailing what it wants to do, and it's just a fun time the whole time.
But what this movie doesn't have? Blackface. That's growth.
You know what? Yeah, I'll fucking take it.
That's
big
growth.
Dub.
Big dub for no blackface in this movie. I just watched this video by Billiam reviewing the Mission Impossible movies, and he kind of says the same thing where he's just like, there's like shit wrong with it, but also it's just kind of a movie that makes you go, hell yeah. And that's my review, really, is there's big action set pieces and you go, hell yeah. That's all I kept thinking when I was watching this movie, where it's just like crazy. We didn't even get into the fucking water theming and how like Beam is water and Ramaraju is fire. There's constant water and fire around them, and Beam is like coming out of the water and the droplets are really exaggerated, and all the slow motion camera work and shit. It's just, you're watching it, you're just going, hell yeah. All right. I'm on this ride. Yes, I'm sure I could critique the ride for its messaging, just like you could critique Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible for the, explicit American military propaganda. But hell yeah. Like, it's not influencing me. I know what I'm looking at, but I'm also looking at hot people doing hot shit. And I can compartmentalize those things.
Yes, we have to be able to say hell yeah to explosions, and maybe not, the weapons platforms and the governments that are launching those explosions. But yeah, it's a good time.
Do you know what? You say that. Do you know what I think of immediately? Do you ever see the banana bread at work clip?
No. Is that a thing on YouTube?
The original isn't. I feel like the guy re-recorded it, but there's this like... Yeah, just look up banana bread at work. But okay, it's this guy sitting in his car, and it's just this like stoner kid, and he's like, somebody brought banana bread into work today, dude? hell yeah. And then he starts just ranting, like, and it devolves from him saying hell yeah to banana bread to like talking about the cops doing shit, and he goes, hell no. And that's all I can think about right now is I'm the banana bread guy watching this movie. I'm like, explosions? Hell yeah. Nationalist governments? Hell no.
That's us.
That's the vibe.
That's the Mortified. That's the hard-hitting analysis you get from Mortified Pod, folks. And we're right,
Listen,
is the thing.
We've been so sad. I think we deserve a little lightheartedness.
We are doing it. We're hanging in there. For our marketing minute, I'm pretty sure we've pitched, what would we do if we did a historical action epic, from ours before. I just, I would like to get this treatment for the American Civil War, where we just get cartoonish depictions of, rebel slaveholders, being huge pieces of shit, and then people like, I don't know, I guess Harriet Tubman and I guess Abraham Lincoln, probably not him, probably more like, Ulysses Grant or that Colonel Chamberlain guy from the Battle of Gettysburg, just like doing flips and, epic bayonet charges and, surfing on cannons and shit. I don't know. I think that would be silly. I do think that we should do more propaganda that is anti-Confederate, though.
I think this is how we reclaim patriotic imagery. 1. 2, I think we cast Alexander Hamilton as Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think we do it. I think we have to.
No, Alexander Hamilton wasn't around during the American Civil War.
He is in this movie.
Yeah, he can have survived the duel. That's fine. He's out here. Or we flash back to him. Okay. We just make this into a Hamilton sequel on completely no reason. Just like, it's fine, whatever. Y'all remember federalism? Yeah, here we go. This movie's also pro-federal government. What's up? We love a unified state. Where can we be found on the internet, Leyla?
You can find me at LEYLSCS on Tumblr and Blue Sky. I'm drawing a bit. I might, now that I've sunk into it, might finish my case study on Lies of P. I actually remembered to take some recordings yesterday. I will also boost, hold on. So, I'm an immigrant. I think we should make that real clear. I was naturalized a long time ago, been a U.S. citizen for ages, but I understand what immigration is, and I also acutely understand that the difference between me and asylum seekers and me and people who cross the border, quote unquote, illegally, the difference between us is luck and money. And so I would like to encourage people to donate to the Immigrant Defenders Law Center. They're doing really great work right now, especially with the folks who have been deported to a foreign fucking gulag. I have a recurring donation set up to them. I also have a recurring donation set up to the Doctors Without Borders or Médecins Sans Frontières. So, yeah, they're doing really great work with helping the situation in Palestine. I don't often use this outro to get overtly political, but shit's really bad right now, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, if you want to find me, you could find me on Blue Sky at AAVoit, on Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, and on YouTube at AAVoit, where I make tabletop video essays. My next video essay will hopefully be on Austin Walker's Realis, which I think will be an interesting piece. However, in the same vein as Leyla, if you want to, here in a couple of weeks, the No Ice in California bundle hosted by Jess the Human will probably be going live on Itch.io, and that will be a bundle to benefit an LA-based immigrants' rights organization. So I'll link that in the show notes if you're a game designer and you want to, make your products available to that bundle. You can submit to that probably for another week when this episode comes out. And, my game, I'll have Detente for the Ravenous, the role-playing game in there. So if you want to get some of my work, you can get in there. But in general, it's a good way to donate to an organization and also get some cool games. So shout-outs. Leyla, how shall we close out this episode of Mortified?
Well, Aaron, if I had a choice, I would stay with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a cute one from a very
nice.
from the tender. Or would you rather me say I have your friendship, which is more precious than my life? I got that one too.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more low key. Just normal stuff that platonic friends say to each other every day. We'll see you all next time.